now we'll try to understand what is the creative change. We have already seen interpersonal communication, interpersonal skill, and influencing skill. So very important to understand what is creativity and what is change. We have seen what are the how the creativity, how it can be inculcated, and then we're going to see what is the change. So here our focus is on the change, and that is the creative change. Through this difficult situation, there are a lot of things we have to see, we have to change, and we have to work on. We have seen this entire our world is changed. The way I'm communicating with you, that is something different. Otherwise I could have come to your university and have interacted with one to one, but now this is through the virtual interaction I'm interacting with you. So this is this kind of change we are calling the creative change, where everyone is getting benefited. It is not a destructive change, or it is not the some kind of other kind of change, but it's a creative change. So what is creative change? Creative change is a psychological process people undergo when they embrace new and productive definitions that often seem opposite the old. So it is the psychological process that is really true, because they are the stages of creativity that we're going to see after some time. This is a new and productive definition that often seem opposite the old. So whatever maybe the old paradigm is there, that we want to change, on that we want to work on. We can undergo creative changes about how we define ourselves, a group of people, a product, or a process. So you can see our entire world is changed. So we are defining ourselves in a different way, our group of people are something different, and the product or the processes are already changing. So in entire gamut of our life, change is the constant, and change can be seen, and that is in a very positive way. So if you want to see what is the process of planned change, so what always you say, if you don't plan to change, then you plan to fail. So what it means? So you should have the planned process of change. A lot of organizations, they always go for the planned process of change. We have seen the very big corporations which were there, they are not now existing. It may be the Kodak, you may be remembering the Kodak film roll. When you are going for the picnic, you have some roll was there and roll camera was there. But that company was one of the successful company in the entire world, but that is not there. Similarly, n number of companies, n number of species, n number of things you can see which is not there, because they are not planned to change. So one of the famous psychologists, all of you know, Kurt Lewin, the planned change process having the three components: unfreezing, moving, and refreezing. So what happens with unfreezing? It provides rationale for change. Why you want to change? So whatever may be there, you want to unfreeze, create a minor level of guilt, anxiety about not changing. So that is there because you are seeing entire world is changing, entire different products are changing, but I am not changing. Create a sense of psychological safety concerning change. So then we are going to the moving stage, that is the second stage of the planned process of change given by the Kurt Lewin. It provides information that suspects proposed changes. So here in the process we are doing some kind of changes are there, and it brings about actual shifts in the behavior. Here our behavior is going to change. And rephrasing, implement new evaluation system, create minor level of guilt, anxiety about not changing, and implement new hiring and promotion system. So what happened here in this particular stage? Unfreezing, moving, and refreezing. So what you want to unfreeze? Very important here, we are unfreezing the status quo. If you want to see, they are the driving forces and restraining forces, and both of them are, you can say, they are forcing from the different places. Both the forces are bringing, and then you can see that it's the type of inertia. So when the person or the process or maybe the company, that inertia position, they cannot move either forward or backward. So it is better to change our behavior. So unfreezing, what you are unfreezing? You are unfreezing the old behavior, you are moving, and refreezing the new behavior. So what happens when our students are not ready to listen, they are not ready to adapt to the changes? So what happens? Old behavior, it may be classic examples of the smoking. What is the smoking? We don't want the students should smoke. So you have to unfreeze the old behavior and moving toward the step by step. And what is the refreezing? The person stops smoking altogether. So that we are calling as the refreezing the new behavior. And there are the famous two kind of metaphor about the change process. One is calm water metaphor. If you see the picture, what you can see, a description of traditional practices in and theories about organization that likens the organization to a large ship. So this is the organization is just like a large ship making a predictable trip across a calm sea and experiencing an occasional storm. So like a big ship, we are going with the calm water. So we are calling the calm water metaphor. Here, changes are incremental. They are not very rapid. They are not going to happen at overnight, but the step by step, very slowly, we are sailing through the change process. That we are calling as the calm water metaphor. And opposite to this, we are having the white water rapid metaphor. It's very important and very interesting. The organization is seen as a small raft navigating the raging river with uninterrupted white water rapids. You must have seen the white water rafting is there with only 3 or 4 persons are there. They don't know most probably each other and they want to raft through the very raging river. Opposite to the calm water. The lack of environmental stability and predictability requires that managers and organizations continuously adapt to survive. So the present situation is not a calm water metaphor which was seen here. The calm water metaphor is not the present situation, but it is the white water rapid metaphor. And in this particular change process, we have to make a lot of changes with ourselves and you should be prepared for that. But this kind of when the changes are there, then a lot of syndromes are there, a lot of resistance are there. So there may be different resistance are there. So Dada syndrome is one of the very well-known syndrome, and you being a psychologist and being an individual teacher helping each other, that can be really helpful. So D means denial, ignore possible or current change. So a lot of time you have seen when the something news happens, people want to ignore. They don't want to wear the mask. They don't want to follow the certain rules. So ignoring the possible or current change. That is the first stage. Then you can say anger. Individual facing unwanted change become angry about the change. So when you want to brought in any kind of change, what will happen? People want to give the resistance to change and they become big angry. Why I want to make change in my life? So people are really angry on this. And third in depression, individual experiencing emotional lows. So depressions in such a we are here means that if people are feeling emotionally low, they are not emotionally feeling good. A lot of bad feeling is there. Their I can say mood is not that much elated. So this kind of stage they are calling the depression. And here A is acceptance. In finally, individual embrace the reality of the situation and make the best of it. So now you can see we are in that process. We are adapted to this particular new situation. We are the accepted the reality, and now we want to make a changes in our behavior. So similarly, any kind of changes there, this maybe this kind of states will come that we call a Dada syndrome, and finally person or your student or your staff may going to accept it. So that is the process of change. And most probably we want to see what is the creative change, because you want to make a creative change, and that is not the rapid, that is not very different, but it should be in positive way. The creative thinking is the process of generating novel ideas and alternative courses of action, no matter how good those ideas and alternatives might be. When you have recognized the problem, then you should employ creative thinking to produce some option for solving the problem. So while using the creative thinking, we have to also think about the creative change. It will make a lot of changes in life. We have n number of examples where the people, they went out of their comfort zone and they make the life of others very comfortable. During this pandemic, you have seen lot. What are the stages of creative process? That is the question. All the psychologists are there, and this is the very well accepted stages of the process of the creative process. Stage 1 is preparation. Stage 2 is incubation. Stage 3 is illumination. Stage 4 is evaluation, and stage 5 is implementation. Just I have forgotten to write here 5. So stage 5 is implementation. Stages of creative process we're going to see in detail. What happens when you start to prepare? Like I have given the example in earlier time, that is the how the Einstein come with the theory of relativity. Stage 1 is preparation. The creative process begins with the preparation. So here active some kind of gathering information and material identifying the source of inspiration, and acquiring knowledge about the project or problem at hand. This is often an internal as well as external process. So people are generating ideas, taking it, and as well as gathering some. Suppose you want to invent something, you want to invent electricity, you want to invent some kind of drugs, or you want to invent some kind of medicine. So all kind of information, other thing that I'm taking with me, and then finally also I'm having some kind of chemicals, beaker, and n number of thing material I'm trying to procure. So that you're calling at the stage of preparation. See, creativity is the process, and with the lot of efforts also you can be creative. Second stage is known as incubation. So nowadays we are seeing the innovation and incubation is very buzzword. Even in lot of organizations and even in the lot of colleges, you are having the innovation club or incubation practicum. All things are there. In incubation, this is when all the information that you have gathered in the preparation stage really goes back. So whatever you prepare, they incubate. You marinate your thought, you marinate your ideas, you rework on this. That you are calling as the incubation stage. It start to churn in the back of your mind, in the subconscious. So here subconscious mind is there. When you gather the information, you work on that. Now the incubation stage is started. But this is extremely important stage because sometimes it can take days, weeks, or month, or sometimes even years. So incubation stage, that is not in our hand. So you have to churning the ideas unconsciously, consciously, and then finally we go to the next stage that you're calling it the illumination. Illumination stage is already known as the aha. You are feeling very elated and certainly some solution comes. It may happen a lot of time with us. After a period of incubation, insight arises from a deeper layer of the mind. See, unconscious is working continuously, and something will come from the deeper layer of mind and break through the conscious awareness. So it will come to the consciousness and will try to understand what kind of things are there. So in this process may be taking only few minutes, but arriving at this stage take a number of years, maybe number of days. So it's very difficult, and it is a sudden eureka. Eureka, that is a very famous phrase of the Archimedes principle, and how Archimedes find out the fundamental principle. So that comes when you are in the shower, taking a walk, or occupied with something completely unrelated. So after incubation, you just leave the things, and then suddenly some solution come up. That you are calling as the illumination stage, aha stage, or the eureka. Seemingly out of nowhere, the solution presents itself. The solution is there with you. And then the stage number 4, the evaluation stage. Yes, that is very important. The reasoning stage, evaluation stage, also known as the reasoning stage. The evaluation stage is important because this is where it requires self-criticism. So now, as a researcher, as a teacher, you try to understand whether that idea come to me, whether that is really sustainable. So you have to self-criticize, you have to evaluate, you have to re-evaluate and reflect on this. In this, an idea or solution is evaluated on the basis of worth of pursuing this new idea. So you are seeing whether this new idea is really worth of can I pursue that? This is new idea, it is the novelness and usefulness. What you've seen earlier, it should be useful to the community. It should be, an idea is very big. A lot of time what happens, you are having ideas very big, but when you want to implement, you cannot implement. So there should be usefulness. It should be implementation. Possibility should be with this idea. So we are calling as this as the evaluation stage, and final stage is elaboration. The elaboration stage is the 99% perspiration stage. So this is where Edison said that it is the 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So lot of time of hard work is required here. This is where you are doing the work. Actually work is carried out by you. Suppose it is maybe the new Formula racing car, it may be new vaccine, or it may be new research paper, or it may be any relatively new theory in your own field. This is where you are doing the work. It includes testing the idea, working on the idea, even those late nights in the studio, working at your days, those hours in the laboratory if you are scientist. So you are working on this, and actually this is the implementation stage. Those days testing and micro testing products. So already I told the Edison is the famous scientist and did a lot of more than 1000 inventions in different field of science. So what he says, 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration will going to create the new invention. So with this, I like to thank all of you for your patient listening, and I think you have learned a lot of things within that. And within this only 1 hour, I cannot share or I cannot train you all these things. You have to practice. You have to practice the persuasion skill, what you learn in this session. You have to see the what is the practice of communication skill that you have to do. You have to understand what is the change and what is the creativity and how it can be applied to your day-to-day life by helping your students, by practicing that, because you are the first contact to your students rather than they are approaching any trained psychologist or psychotherapist or any other person in the helping profession. You are the first contact. So by using this particular very simple tips, I have tried to make the things very simplified and not use any kind of very big name of the theories and very complicated theories, because psychology is very conceptual. So I try to make it very easy, because I assume that all of you are from different background, different field. So I welcome you, and once again I thank you all of you, and organizer of this event, I'm really thankful to them. Thank you very much.